Hi there, my name is Chelsea Seaburn. Welcome to The Smart Student. This channel is all about helping online college students and their online college programs. Today, I'm going to be talking about what it means to be a credible source, why it matters, and then I've created this checklist that outlines those 5 different things you should look for, and I'm going to walk you through each one. But with no further ado, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up and let's get started. So what is a credible source? Well, a credible source is a trustworthy source. You see, in our day and age, you can find just about anything online, which is wonderful for a lot of reasons. However, since you can find anything online, what this means is that just about anybody can post anything online, meaning that what you read online may not always be true and it might be manipulated in some way. So when you're researching for either academic or professional purposes, you want to make sure the sources that you're using are credible, meaning that they are unbiased and can be backed up by real facts. As tempting as it may be to use a source when it aligns with your research question or thesis statement perfectly, you always want to remain somewhat skeptical until you verify the source's credibility. Now, to make this easy, there are 5 things in particular that you want to look for. You want to check currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. This is known as what is called the CRAP test. No, I did not come up with this on my own. It was created years ago and it's used across the globe. What I have done for you though is created this checklist which demonstrates each of these 5 things to look for. This checklist can be found down in the description below. I suggest downloading it, saving it on your computer so you can reference it later. But the way the CRAP test works is that it's a list of qualifying questions to determine whether your source is credible or crap. Now, your source does not have to favor all of these questions necessarily, but it should favor more than not, otherwise it's crap. Alrighty, but let's go ahead and go through each one so that way I can explain them more in detail. By the way, if you're finding value in this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe. It's your interaction with this channel that allows me to keep doing what I'm doing, so thank you so much for being here. So the first thing you want to look for is currency, and this is simply the timeliness of the information. When you're checking for this, you want to look to see when the source was last published. So unless you're researching something that is specifically supposed to analyze the past, a rule of thumb is that a good source is one that was published within the last 10 years. This is especially important when you're researching experiments because when you research an older experiment, there's a good chance that those results may have been disproved by more recent studies. For example, let's say you're writing a paper about our solar system. Depending on what source you're looking at and when it was published, Pluto may or may not be considered a planet. I think we're still saying it's not a planet. So if you look here, I did a quick Google search and this article is talking about arguments for and against demoting Pluto. In other words, in February 1998, Pluto was not yet demoted, it was still a planet. If you look over at this article, however, it says Pluto is still not an official planet in our solar system. This article that was written on February 2nd, 2021, meaning that it's the most current, so Pluto right now is not a planet. As you can see, the timeliness of the information really does matter. To determine whether or not a source is current, here are a few qualifying questions you can ask. When was the information posted or published? Is the information current or out of date in regards to your topic? Are the links on this website functional? Faulty links are a classic sign of an outdated article or website, so it's something you want to be aware of. Alright, cool. So moving on to the next one, which is relevancy. And relevancy is simply the importance of the information for your needs. In other words, you want to make sure that you're reading a source that's providing you with information that is compatible, applicable, and related to your topic. I'm sure we can all relate to finding the perfect article that fits your topic, but it's just off just a little bit. This is where you might be tempted to use that source, but maybe omit a few details. Never do this, you would be including false information in your papers, which you don't want a chance losing points for. For instance, let's say you're writing a research paper about the effects that dieting has on a woman's mental health. Your thesis statement is that dieting leads to lasting mental health complications like depression and eating disorders. Great, you find this wonderfully written article that fits that thesis statement exactly and you want to use it. However, the case study was done on adolescent girls, not women. That article would not be relevant to your topic. Close, but go fish. So when you're checking to make sure that an article is relevant, here are a few qualifying questions you can ask yourself. Who is the intended audience? Does the information that's being presented relate to your topic? Is the information at an appropriate level for your topic, meaning it's not too elementary nor too advanced for your needs? Have you looked at a variety of other sources before selecting this one? And does the information back up your intended research? All of those questions combined will give you a good feel for how applicable the information in that source will be for you and your needs. Next, you have authority, which is the author's credibility to be writing about the topic. In other words, how qualified are they to be saying what they're saying, to be presenting this information? Some of the most common things you can look for are the author's credentials or their affiliation. Are they writing from an official government website or a school website, or is it their own personal blog? For example,
let's say you're writing a research paper on nutrition. Are you getting your information from someone's personal blog where much of their articles are based off personal experience and personal opinion? Or are you using an official established website such as a government website where their articles are going to be written by specialists who are qualified to talk about things like nutrition and the health benefits of different food varieties and so on and so forth?
Some questions you can ask yourself here is, who is the author? Are there any credentials or affiliations listed for that author? If yes, what are those credentials and affiliations? How is the author qualified to talk about this topic? And does the URL reveal anything about this source? For instance, some common credible domains will use things like .edu for education, .gov for government, .org for an organization. Things like .com and .net don't necessarily mean that the source isn't credible. Those are just common domains that anyone can go create a domain or a website under. So it's important to be aware of that. But moving on to the fourth thing, which is checking for the accuracy of the information. In other words, is what they're saying actually correct? Can it be backed up by real facts? As a rule of thumb, when you're checking for accuracy, you want to be aware of vague phrases. For example, if someone says, recent studies show, but there's no recent study to show what they're saying, that's a huge red flag. If they say, many people believe, you should ask yourself, who are these many people that believe this? My favorite is when a source uses an authority figure statement to gain credibility. This is when they'll stamp the good old-fashioned doctor recommended somewhere in their article to try and sound legitimate. So if you see something like that, if you see something vague, you always want to trail that down to find the sources that they're referring to that back up their claim. Some additional questions you can ask yourself here are, where does this information come from? Is the information supported by real evidence? Has this information been reviewed by anyone else? Can I verify this same information in another source? Does the language or tone seem biased and free of emotion? Are there any spelling or grammar errors? All right, we're almost there. We're to the fifth element in the CRAP test, which is purpose. And purpose is simply, why does this information exist? Here, you want to be real careful about bias. So let's say you're reading an article. Does it come from a medical company who's quasi trying to promote their product? Or is it written from a qualified organization like the World Health Organization, WebMD, the Mayo Clinic, where their purpose is mainly just to get facts out to the general public? Now, something to be aware of is that just because it's a qualified source doesn't mean that the information they're presenting won't be biased. It's okay if it is, it's just really important that you're aware of it if it is biased. It's really important to know the difference between a biased fact versus a biased opinion that's stated as a fact. By the way, it's completely fine to research topics from different viewpoints on purpose. You just want to be aware that the information you're using might be a little skewed or manipulated to fit that source's needs. So some questions you can ask here. Again, what is the purpose of this information? Does the author make their intentions or purpose clear? Is the information fact, opinion, propaganda? Does the viewpoint appear objective and impartial? Can you spot any biases, either personal, political, ideological, cultural, the list goes on and on. Again, you're just inquiring to see why the person wrote this information because that's going to help you determine how credible it is for you and your needs. But in conclusion, you should always be a little skeptical when doing research, especially research that's done online. This is not about being difficult, it's about being smart. And again, if you want to be super smart, don't forget to download that checklist and save it to your computer so you can reference it whenever you want. Lastly, if that checklist seemed like a lot of information to cover and go through, please know that it's just there to kind of guide you so you get a feel of the credibility of the source. Again, if your source doesn't favor more than it does favor on that checklist, there's a good chance that it's not a credible source and you should move on to one that is. But anyways, friends, if you're still here right now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to come join the Smart Student Facebook group. I would love to have you there. You can find that link down in the description below. But as always, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, share it with someone else who could use it, and of course, subscribe to this channel for more videos every week. Thank you.